Hello everyone, welcome to the new video about Power BI. Today's video is very important because it's going to cover one of the limitations we used to have in Power BI, where whenever you need to calculate a delta percentage between pre and post dates, for example, as you can see in these tables mentioned here. For example, you have multiple KPIs metrics and you would like to calculate the delta, for example, how much is being increased or reduced and so on in a percentage of delta. And this was not really very doable before in Power BI because we used to create multiple measures as a redundant measures to be able to do this kind of figure. And at the end, you will not get it in the same format as you can see here. But now we can do like a complete automation of the delta calculation, and will save a lot of time. And also, we don't need anymore to calculate this kind of redundant measure. The redundant measures. How this can be done? It can be done through a new function called calculation group, where we're going to speak about it today and more focusing on the time intelligence or how to calculate the automated delta. So first of all, this is what we can get of the calculation group. As you can see here, I have created something called calculation group and just added to the columns, and it will give me whenever I add any metric here. For example, I have here latency, throughput, and so on. So I ever, for example, add average CNR in the top first here. You will see it will be directly calculating the average CNR 1.23, 3.28, giving you the delta, for example, it's increasing by 166 percentage and so on. And also I will show you like how to do this kind of conditional formatting. It's one of the limitation as well, but there is a workaround for that. So I'll be showing you how to do this kind of conditional formatting to have it fully automated here and there. So let's start and see what we have today. So I have deleted the calculation group which is being created. So in order to introduce it from scratch and show you how you can create it. Before doing that, let me show you the data where I have. Initially, I will going to be using this KPIs, which is just calculated KPIs based on the formula. For example, here I'm given just the average for latency millisecond from this particular data set, which is called dataset 1. And you can see that set 1 having just a very few KPIs over here. And one of the things I'm going to use, I have created a group of dates. For example, this one date groups. This is originally being created from the date. So if you click here and make edit, you will see just I giving here a format as pre and post. For example, post containing particular date ranges starting from 3 of May till 9 of May, and pre is all the remaining dates. So this will have like I will be using whenever I'm going to create. So now how to create your calculation group. You need first to jump to the very left here if you look into this model view and click it here. Then in the model view, if you'll find this kind of data model, as you know, and tables, as you can see here, and also you have your model. Very right here, in top right, you can see there is a model here. And under the model, actually, if you look into the top figure here, there is something called calculation group. And also, you'll find that here you can just right click and just make a new calculation group, as you can see, or you can get it from the top here. So I'll just click here, new calculation group. This is very important note. See, whenever telling you this change will discourage implicit measure, I would like to show like if you click yes, you will lose something, and this is one of the limitation as well, where I would like to address for you. So I would like to show you what you're going to lose, because you need to understand that, because at the very end you don't have your data set itself will not have any aggregation anymore. You need to create a measure or a DAX formula for each and every single KPI. Let me show you directly before clicking yes. Once, as you can see in this figure, once we click yes, as you can see, this change will discourage implicit measures. What you lose initially, this was your data set. You will find that you used to have this kind of summation or aggregation that you can directly aggregate in your data set once whenever you need. For example, you can add it to the data set, make average, sum, max, or whatever. But once you click yes, you will lose this. You will find it like coming at your data set without this aggregation. So in case if you would like to use this in the chart as a calculation, it will not be possible anymore. You can use it just whenever you can create a measure for them. Neither mean you need to create a DAX formula, for example, to calculate an average here and there. And to get this back, you need to delete your group calculation. So you need to understand this because it's very important. Maybe you will, like in the very beginning, if the first time to use it, it will confuse you. So you need to understand what it means by this, and this is the meaning. Now let's move back to the Power BI to show how to create the calculation. So now I will just click yes, and you will lose your aggregation as I mentioned. So now once I click yes here, you see you will find now something called here calculation group being created directly. And under this, there is something called calculation item. So you need to create different calculation items. For example, I need to calculate the pre, which is the pre-date, and one for the post and one for the delta calculation. So for example, let me show like how to do that. For example, here I will rename it here under the calculation item. I have one calculation item so far. I will just rename it as pre. Then I will just use calculation formula, which is calculate. I will keep this select measure because this one referring to my data set. Then I will just press comma. Then here I will just mention what I need from my data set. So what I'm going to tell him, I need from my data set one, right? As I mentioned, this one I'm going to use that date set group, the one group which I created as I have explained before. So this one, for example, under this date set one, have data group have two things, pre and post. So I will just refer to the pre date, as you can see here, and I will just close. This one you can just save it, then click OK. So this is the first created one. So this one will refer to the value of pre, so it will give you directly the calculation of that one. Then to calculate for the post, you need again to go to the calculation item, right click, new calculation item, and for sure you will repeat the same step. So I will just like copy paste here, and I will just make this one as post. Then we rename it again here for post to look into my data set data groups. If they're having a post value, so it will calculate the value for this one. Then I will just click OK. Now you would like to calculate the pre and post and delta. Okay, so I will just right click again. Now I need the delta percentage, so I will just make new calculation item. Okay, here I will just call it, for example, delta percentage. Okay, and here what I would like to do, I would like to calculate the my pre and post, right? So I will just need give the formula where you need it. For example, I need to calculate post minus pre. For example, I will do like this one minus this one. Let me add it here. The normal formula you usually do. So I will do here. I was just repeating the formulas which I have, but directly here, pre minus post, post minus pre divided, for example, by pre. So I will just make like this, and I give divided. Then I will just make again for the pre calculation. Here you can, for example, make it like this, and here we go. This is just simply calculating I'm calculating what is the delta between post and pre divided by pre compared to the previous value or the pre value. Then I will just click it. Okay. Okay. See the order now. Whenever you are going to add this to your table, let me go to the table now and just try to use this one. Now this is the metrics I'm going to use, which is the average latency, down indicator throughput, RSRB, and so on. Okay. So for example, if I'm going to add now, I need to use my new calculation group calculation, which you can see it's coming now into my data set called calculation group. And even you can rename this one. You can give it any name you would like to do. Here is just clicking calculation group column. So you just need to drop it here. And here what we get. But if you look into that part, I already did the condition formatting here. So let me remove this one and just create one from the beginning. Later on, we can show how to do the condition formatting. So now let me drop on just few KPIs. Let's say average latency, downlink throughput, and uplink throughput. Now let's drop the calculation group which we already created. So you just take it into columns and drop it here. You can see it's coming like this format, but if you remember one of the things I have mentioned before, you just need to switch, just search under click the column, go to the format, select here for switch. So this will switch the columns and rows and the opposite way around. So here it will do like this. As you can see, first of all, your delta now is coming here. This means minus 12%. This means minus 15%. This means 0. Okay. But the order is not what you're looking for. You need first, for example, the pre, post, then the delta, or whatever order you would like to do. Then you need to go back to the model view here. And very simple, just go to your model, calculating the calculation group item, which is this one. Under this calculation group item, calculating your, as you can see under the calculation group, you have your calculation group items, which is just being created. You just need to click it. Then you can see in the left here, there's properties here. Just open it. You'll find this is calculation item order. So for example, I need first the pre, then I need the post, then I need the delta. Okay. Then I will go back now. So simply it's being calculated, as you can see, 36, 8, 0, 0.12, 0.15. If you need it in percentage, you can do it in two ways, like in two different methods. First of all, you can just multiply by 100, for example, just simply, and you go back here, and let's see what you will get. If you calculate it by 100, it will be coming like that. Like, for example, this is improvement, which is 5%, minus 12%, minus 14%. Okay, let me remove this latency with the other one, just out of curiosity. Just drop it here. See, it's 4.91 and minus 14, minus 12%. But the point is, I would like to get it in a percentage to cover one of the also limitation which I'm going to explain. But first of all, this is how you can do it. Okay, let me just remove these tables and explain one more thing you can do. So now it's very easy. If you drop any KPI, it will just directly start calculating your delta. As you can see here, it will just directly calculating the pre and post value and the delta value as well, as you can see from this figure. Okay, so now you would like to do, I would like to give you one trick. Just, for example, instead of dropping each and a single KPI, what you can do, for example, let me create a new table, which is this one. I will just click it here. Instead of taking one by one, you can also have another automation. I will just remove all these KPIs here. And if you remember, I will just go to I will create, just make a new parameter. If you remember, under the modeling, I will just make a new parameter here called, for example, fields. Under this parameter, I will go to, for example, this KPIs. I would like to drop all these KPIs here to my fields, and this parameters, for example, you can just create it, name it as list. Okay, then I will just make this list. So if you remember the parameters, it will be created as you can see, a drop down list or as a slicer. You can just filter the slicer as whatever you want, vertical list or drop down or whatever. Okay, so I'll just make it a drop down for now. Then I need to drop the list, which I just created now, to here and see what we'll get. For example, here, this is the one I just created called list. I just need to drag and drop it here. Okay, drag and drop it into values, not rows, into values. Okay, see, now this is, instead of taking one by one, you can just drag and drop all the list here directly, so it will calculate and give you the exactly same figure as you have on the left. And even though if you would like to make a certain selection, you can do that through selecting whatever metric you would like to do. For example, I need to select only 3 metrics, so to also give you the filter here. Okay, now the last part I would like to explain to you, that how to do the conditional formatting. For example, how to give directly values. If let's say it's, you would like in the green if it's greater than 0, you'd like in red if it's less than 0, which means improvement to the gradation or whatever. So how you can do that? Let me show you now how you can do that. There is actually, this is one of the limitations, but there is a workaround. This workaround that you need, the normal case scenario, why we have a limitation. If you go to, for example, here in the format, click in the table, and you would like to do the conditional formatting. So what you need to do, you go to cell element. This is a normal case. And in the cell element, if you, for example, enable the background color for average latency, which is the first one. Once you enable this one, see, it will apply it for the 3 values, because this is at the end, all of them are in numbers. So if you make, for example, here, formatting, and you start giving whatever based on gradient or rules or whatever, for example, here we're saying based on number greater than, let's say, 0, and let's say less than 1, for example. Okay, and you give here a red color. See, now it will highlight, it will, as you can see, it's almost highlighted nothing here. So even if you did it again, like from here, and make it, for example, less than 10 or whatever, it will just highlight this one. But again, it's not enough. It's not enough, because again, you don't know, maybe these numbers will be under the same 10. For example, if I give it here less than 50, okay, so this means all the 3 will be highlighted here. If you look into this item, now all the 3 will be highlighted as they look. But what you would like to highlight, you would like only to highlight the delta. So how you can do that? Let's go back to the group calculation and show you a trick. So going back to my model view, then I will go to again to the calculation group. So I would like to go to the delta only. I have 3 items under the calculation item, pre, post, and delta. If you click into this one, you will find something called dynamic format string. Okay. First of all, I will remove this 100 multiply, because I would like to change this one into a percentage, actually, not like a values or multiply, not a number. So I'll just click yes. Then you can see here there is something called format string. You just make edit index formula bar. Actually, this format string, I would like to give it a delta format. A delta format, you need to follow the same format as I mentioned here. I will drop it in the description, in the YouTube description, in case if you would like to use the same. So I'll just now use this one, click enter, then I'll go back here, okay? See, now it's coming as a percentage. This is a good point, 4.91 percentage, okay? This is what I'd like to do. Now, if you applied your condition formatting, for example, if you go to back to the cell element, and started changing this one. Let's say fx, okay? So now let's change this one from 0 to 1. It will deal with this one as a percentage, so it will consider 100 as 1 and 0 as 0 such, okay? For example, this one I will make it as green, and here we go. And also I will add a new rule. For example, I'm saying number as well. If it's less than, let's say 1 minus 2, greater than minus 2, and less than 1, make it as, for example, here, red color, okay? So what I'm expecting now to get a green color only here. And for example, let's do it for the throughput now to see what we'll get, because you need to do it for each and every single one, but at the end you will do it only one time and it will be automated all the time. So I will just change gradient rules. Then again, I will make from 0 number, change this one to 1, and this one as well, green color. Then here there is nothing because we don't have any green value, so we need to add a new rule. So this one will be number, for example, minus, let's say minus 1 or minus 2, depending on your data. And here we go, for example, I give it as red, so it's minus 1 and less than 0. So I'm expected to get this one as, and you need to apply the same for all the other method as well. And actually this is all of it, but there is also one thing you can do. Let me show it, the last thing about the how to select the dates, because initially I was selecting the dates based on the, I created a group for the date, so I was just referring to this date and selecting this one based on BM bots, but also you can give a range of dates. So let me show an example quickly, and this will be the last and the ending of this session. So going back to the other template, which was already ready, so let's go to the model view. If you look into the model view, you will see that here I created the delta, okay, or the groups in general, here pre and post. If you look into this, I'm giving a date ranges. For example, I give the same format, calculate, get select measure as it is. Then I mentioned the dates between this date and this date. So it will take those ranges from this particular date column. So this is also one method you can do it for the pre and post in case you would like to do it as a more automation. Even you can select, create a parameter to do this kind of job. So there is multiple things to do that. The last thing I would like to highlight, which is related to the other limitation, as I mentioned before, the data set will completely lose your data here. So if I'm trying to drop this one as a value now, for example, let's say directly drop from here to here, it will not be possible anymore because we have this group calculation. So in this case, what you need to go and delete your, as I mentioned before, to start seeing your data. You need to delete your calculation groups here. If you look into the calculation group, we need to go calculated items. Then you will just need to delete it from here. And under that one, let me delete it from this one here, delete from model. And by the way, you can create a macro for that within the Power BI, but I didn't go through this yet. So I need to delete the other one, which is called calculation group method one, and delete the model. And once you delete it, you delete both of them. If you look into the table, you'll find still it's suffering from the same issue. That's still the aggregation not pack. So what you need to do, you need to go to the semantic model here, click it, then again disable the discourage implicit measure. Once you do that, it will just root, and if you look into now, your measures is coming back. And that's all for today's video. I hope if you like the video, to spread the word and share it with your friends, and click like and share, and also to drop your comments. Thank you very much, and see you next video.